God almighty, it has been a while since we've done this, and who should I pin
very long while.
Who should I pin the blame on for this? You know what? I'm just going to blame everyone. I'm going to blame everyone. I blame you, Leo. I blame you, Muzi. I blame Akari, and most of all, I blame Legend.
I noticed you left yourself out of that, sir.
Because
I think that was a given.
Exactly. Thank you.
You said you blamed everyone. That includes yourself.
No, I've been wanting to do the podcast.
Yes, no. Who do you think writes the fucking scripts for this?
Who do you think fucking records this shit? Anyway, welcome to...
To be fair, like, for 2 weeks it was you and me, and we didn't have enough for a quorum, so thankfully Muzi was able to separate herself so that we could do this.
Yeah, sadly,
We're very thankful for her presence here, so we can get on.
Yeah, so just giving you guys a heads up, Legend's going to be MIA for probably another podcast, most likely, given the way his school's been going.
I would say another 2 podcasts, because if we're going off of our normal schedule, in a month, it's finals for him.
Ooh,
yeah, it's gonna be nuts, and that's totally understandable. We've all been there.
By retrospect, but we'll make do with what we got.
Yeah, so anyway, as I was trying to say before, welcome to the Legend Hunters podcast, minus Legend.
We really need to come up with an alternative name in the event for when he's not here, so that way it does not. So that way, to the common viewer, it makes sense why we're called what we're called.
I really have been thinking we need a new name brand for our channel. Because odds are, well, I've said this.
Squeaky in the joke. Squeaky in the joke.
No.
Yes.
I don't think the derps would work, but there's already a derp crew.
Derp lords? Could we be the Derp Lords?
Jesus H. Christ.
I think we need a photo. We need to workshop that. I think we could do something there.
Shenanigans Central.
When he's not here, it's the Derp Hunters. There you go.
The Derp Hunters. yeah. Let's do that. Every time Legend doesn't show up, we are called the Derp Hunters.
Jesus H. Christ.
This is what happens when you're stuck with both me and Leo.
Yeah, Zero is the insanity filling in a fun-filled sandwich.
I swear to God, if both of you were in this room, I'd be punching you right now.
No, you wouldn't. You would be screaming to your scream pillow.
No, actually what I would be doing is smothering you both with it.
You can only do us one at a time.
Yeah.
You have no idea how big I can make this scream pillow. I can smother you both. Anyway.
You got a bigger one, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's why. Maybe then. Maybe, we'll see. Anyway, how has things been since we last talked, Zero?
How have things been for me? Relatively boring. I tried to apply for, trying to speak here. I tried to apply to become like a teacher or a lab assistant at the local community college, and I have not heard anything from them. So
well, you might need to call them back. Sometimes paperwork gets lost.
True, especially considering I had a
thing this past week or not this past week, but for when I was filling out for my summer application, I emailed the person, I think at the end of February. And I didn't hear back from them after spring break because they were busy with things and the email got lost.
Yeah, speaking of spring break, I realized that I sent the email the Friday before spring break.
Yeah, so you may want to check up just to make sure to see where that's going.
Yeah. Other than that, I've been playing a few games here and there. I restarted
Persona.
Well, first off, I was playing Dark Souls 3 because for the first time ever, I decided to do a pyromancy build in a Dark Souls game.
You honestly pick like one of the weirder ones to get in on it, because this one really makes it kind of awkward to use, because Dark Souls 1, you didn't have any restrictions on pyromancy. They were sort of the black magic for anyone who wanted to do some sort of casting but not put points into sorcery or faith.
Yeah,
it was purely based off the strength of the pyromancy flame.
Yeah, and
In Dark Souls 2, those rules still applied, but you could get additional damage bonuses from the combination of your faith and intelligence, but it's scaled differently from darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And in this game, it's basically the same thing as any other magic. It's basically like hexes, but it scales differently. So you both need intelligence or faith, and you need to have the pyromancy flame built up. So it's really weird how they limited it in this game.
Yeah, by the end, my character is basically a hexer again.
Well, it is, but but your scaling is different because I think of it has to do something with the soft caps.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, other than that, yes, I did pick up Persona 5, and I'm currently playing it right now as we speak.
Yes, because he's an addict.
Shut up. I'm gonna go ahead.
Where are you in that game so far?
Just took care of the third heist.
Okay.
So
we can't get any much more because I think the moratorium still extends onto any sort of spoilery content.
Yeah, I'm well past the apparent date that Atlas. You know what? Let's get onto that later when we get into the news.
Yeah.
I'll explain that in better detail when we get to that. But basically, you've gone into the point where spoilers are going to start popping up.
I've passed the date.
Okay.
So, other than that, not really much. Really waiting on my copy of Ukulele to finally come out because I was a freaking backer.
Same here.
Right.
Yeah, so hopefully it's either going to come today, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, maybe Monday.
Probably the latest Monday because they want to make sure that us backers have our copies for when the game launches because then we could play right away.
That's true. And I want to... yeah. I'm maybe consider doing a Let's Play of it, but I don't know.
We'll get to that.
Mm-hmm. So that's it for me, pretty much. Moosey, how was your week?
It was okay, kind of boring. I mean, I went out and saw Beauty and the Beast again. That's like the third time.
Seriously?
I've had music stuck in my head for like weeks, but I could just randomly like bust out into song.
You might want to speak up a little bit, Moosey. You're a little low.
I think my mic moved, but
okay, try it again.
Yeah, you're good now. Sorry.
But yeah, I could just randomly burst out into song after listening to the soundtrack about 1,000 times.
So you're a Disney princess.
And went out to lunch a couple times, just, getting out of the house little bits here and there so I don't go insane.
Yeah.
Still waiting on...
Yeah, I forgot to mention that I'm stuck home alone as well, so I'm going mad as a hatter.
You guys need to get out more.
What is this?
I tried.
Dude, it's already 80 degrees outside. I can't take a step out without sweating like crazy.
Then take off your dark clothes and put something with a fair color on.
I don't look good in light colors.
You could come here where it's 33 degrees.
No, thank you. I'd rather not be freezing my balls off.
Or you could go topless.
With my figure, fuck no.
Oh, come on, dude. You're not. You look good.
No, I got a fucking pot belly.
No, I don't look good.
Mostly been playing games and stuff when I'm home.
Like
Stardew Valley and...
Addict.
Dwelling... Oh, like you can talk.
Yes, pot meet kettle, kettle meet pot.
Got the HD 1.5, 2.5 remix thing so I can play all the Kingdom Hearts games on my PS4.
Me.
And then been delving a little more into Andromeda. And I also picked up Persona 5. I'm nowhere near as far as he is, but it is addictive. Also been replaying the Ace Attorney games on my 3DS, so.
I still have not beat Spirit of Justice.
You must fix this.
I'll fix it once I beat Persona 5.
So in about 3 months.
He plays this video game in cycles. He has to power through it before he can go ahead and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why he was completely addicted to Breath of the Wild when it first came out.
Yeah, big giant games like this, I end up sinking God knows how many hours into because I have no life.
Well, weeks worth of it.
Yeah, I spend weeks worth, literally, because, again, have no life. And I gotta do something in between editing Bloodborne episodes.
Yeah. And then I have Riff Tracks coming up on Thursday. They're doing that older movie Samurai Cop.
Oh, Samurai Cop. That's a good one.
It was part of the Kickstart, and I was a backer for that. They're doing... Oh, let me pull it up. They're doing that. I can't remember the second one. And then there was a super secret show that they didn't reveal until the Kickstart was over. They're actually riffing one of the classic Doctor Who specials, The Five Doctors. So this is going to be great. Yeah, Summer Shorts Beach Party. They're going to be riffing a bunch of shorts with a bunch of other people. And those are always hilarious. But I backed it enough as to where I get like a digital goodie pack with like a signed copy of a rehearsal script, avatars for the site, digital signed thank you photo, and I get 2 of the live shows for download the second they go up for sale.
Cool.
And a crap ton of shorts, because these people are smart. To get more backers and stuff, they actually set not just stretch goals, but backer goals. The amount of backers they got, unlocked more shorts. And if you already own one of those, you get $1 on your account. So you're still getting something even if you already own that short. And they did it for like 10 different shorts. And everyone at every level gets those shorts. So even if you just donated $1, you get like 10 free shorts,
Damn.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
And then they did money stretch goals. Like one of them was 2 of the different shows on available to get on DVD. And they're actually doing a riff of the Red Wedding episode of Game of Thrones.
Wow.
They pack a lot of stuff into their Kickstarts. They only were aiming for like $250,000. They got $430,000.
That will be interesting.
Oh yes, it's a wonderful time. I'm hoping they eventually do Sharknado 3, because they've done the first 2.
Oh dear God Almighty.
An already purposely stupid movie being riffed by these guys is just hilarious.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
Oh, it's a blast.
Excuse me if I don't share you guys' the same interest in that kind of crap.
Well, no, because you gotta loosen yourself up for it, Zero.
Yeah, and I'm wound up tight.
Yes. Overwound, I would say.
Alright then, so Leo, how was your week?
It was a pretty decent week. I've been doing some busy with a lot of schoolwork. It's going to be finals for me too soon, but I don't have as many exams to worry about. I just have to worry about the ones that determine my final grade.
Yeah, that would be a big deal.
Yes, it would be. In the very few moments of free time that I have, I've been playing Dark Souls 3 as well. I just am up to Lord of Cinder, Soul of Cinder. Got to beat that down with my Pyromancy build, and then I'm gonna decide whether or not if I can crunch the DLCs in a month while I still have to study for finals. We'll see about that. Also been playing a bit more of Neo. Beat myself up a new A. beat up the next boss in that game, and just making my way through. Otherwise, playing more Donkey Kong Country 2. Got to watch. I watched the ending of Mrs. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, and I got to see the season finale of that, or the series finale of that. I gotta say, overall, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's pretty fan servicey overall. It pretty much hits off. You will find someone to like in this series. They have. It's kind of safe in that regard, but they make some very good attempts at mixing things up, especially early on. But if you cannot handle sweet, mushy goodness like Zero, it's probably not going to be worth your time.
Good.
There's maybe I could think 2 or 3 notable fight sequences, 2 of which are montages, basically in that they're not really fights as much as it's super powered dodgeball for one of them.
Jesus Christ.
It's more about the fragility of living and whatnot, but it's still a good series all around.
Alright then.
Lastly, and I'll probably get more into this next time around, but Treasure Trove came out.
Oh yeah.
So since I got mine on PC, I downloaded that last night, but it was so late that I didn't get started on it. But now we can go ahead. We'll get into that later. Muzi, you already got the Spectre Knight campaign, right?
Yeah, I got it on my Switch. I haven't had a chance to play a lot of it, though.
I've already beaten it.
Okay, you want to go ahead and give us your impressions about that, since you already got your hands on it?
Let's see where to begin. It's probably the hardest of the game so far.
Well, isn't it also that they remixed the boss battles for this particular fight?
Oh hell yeah! Let's see. Mole Knight now actually turns. He coats himself in that goo, that bouncy goo, and he bounces around all over the place.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and he creates gel walls. And while you're Spectre Knight, if you attack one of the gel walls to break it, you bounce back. So you gotta deal with that. King Knight, he creates platforms, like the area just kind of raises and lowers, and he creates cards that move in all sorts of different directions. Plague Knight has a doppelganger. He can create clones. Yeah.
Very nice.
And let's see. I'm trying to think of. Oh God, Prince Peller Knight's fight. It's like the Kratos fight, where you're constantly climbing up airships to attack him as cannons are hitting on everything.
Oh yes, I did see some of that from the little screenshots.
Yeah, that boss. Oh God, and Tinker Knight. If you, Jesus Christ.
I understand they basically changed his boss fight completely, so it's less of a joke.
Oh, it's not a joke. It's an auto-scrolling stage.
Oh, fun.
With platforms of insta-death. With pitfalls of insta-death, I mean.
Yay.
Fantastic.
Oh, and he's not sitting in the machine. He's floating around the area, and you gotta jump onto the machine to attack him from a distance.
Really?
Yeah. It's a hellish hectic fight.
The cussing was abundant.
Yep. And let's see. For Spectre Knight stage, you actually fight the Phantom Striker, which is kind of interesting.
That's it. That is very interesting.
And his fight got remixed as well. Sadly, you do not fight Baz in this one.
Aww.
He shows up for like 5 seconds and then fucks off.
guess that's as much as we can cover. What about how Plague Knight plays?
You mean Spectre
Or,
Knight?
sorry, Spectre Knight plays. Yeah.
Very Ninja Gaiden-y. I'd really recommend reformatting the controls, use A to B for jumping and attacking. Otherwise, you're going to get fucked over, maybe. Because the controls were very awkward for me. But yeah, I think my biggest issue with playing as Spectre Knight is dealing with the whole. You gotta wait long enough before falling into a bottomless pit to attack one of these lanterns or enemies to move up. Because if you go too early, you're going to attack the thing and go down. You'll see what I mean.
In other words, ah!
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And there's this one area, which is basically an auto-scrolling tower of hell. And the reward you get for it is complete bullcrap. But other than that, that's pretty much my opinion on Plague Knight. Not Plague. See, you made me do it. Spectre Knight.
Spectre Knight.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
Alright, that sounds good. Alright.
So, shall we go ahead and get into the news?
Yes, let's get started with the news.
Alright,
The nonsense.
No, this is not Nash. It's not Nash's show. Alright, but we do have some WTF moments to go over. So, let's get started. Some of these are going to sound really old because some of them were from way earlier in the week, but let's go over them anyway.
Alrighty.
So we have, first off, more recent one. Marvel Comics VP issues, then retracts statement about diversity causing a slump in sales.
Open mouth, insert foot, Marvel.
Yep, it was pretty bad. So, basically, David Gabriel, vice president of sales for Marvel, basically blamed that there was a sharp drop in sales of comics from October to November based on quote-unquote changing tastes. It was cited that his opinion was that they were tired of more diversity in female characters.
Yeah, that wasn't a smart thing to say.
No, well, it was certainly something that he wanted to, that he did not. It certainly did not reflect well for the company. Quote, what we heard was people did not want more diversity, Gabriel says. They didn't want female characters out there, that's what we heard. Makes you think whether or not Gabriel was listening in an echo chamber or something.
Yeah, I can kind of imagine that. But then, I'm going to just go ahead and say this. The comic book industry is dying.
It's kind of difficult considering the fact that you can pretty much get. To be honest, part of the reason why I didn't get into comics to begin with was because for what you got, and manga is about how many pages? Zero,
like one manga book could be
yeah,
upward of 100, 150 pages, maybe.
150 pages, and you usually got pretty substantial story development in that time.
Yeah, and what a manga book is like
comics,
what, $5-8?
In American comics, they want you to charge the same amount, but for significantly less.
Oh yeah, which is why it's like $15 for like a 15-page book.
And they have ads in them.
Yep.
It's stupid.
To be honest, if I can say this, I really didn't even know about comic books until like late in high school. I was that fucking sheltered as a kid.
You knew about manga before you knew about manga before you knew about comics.
Pretty much, yeah.
It was one of those things where it just did not make any sense to me.
Yeah, like I grew up knowing about the superheroes: Superman, Batman, the Justice League, Iron Man, Marvel.
Right, but we knew them from comics. or not comics, we knew them from the cartoons.
Yeah, and I was like, what's the difference between Marvel and DC? Like, I didn't even know anything about that until I started watching Linkara, for Christ's sake.
Well, that has to do with who owns them, and that's more of a corporate thing, but that's not really the point.
Yeah, but still, I didn't know the difference for the longest time.
In either event, the vice president got panned heavily for his what many saw as a very underwhelming view of support for female heroes, especially particularly those of non-Caucasian descent. But of note, Miss Marvel, who is in this current incarnation a teenage Pakistani American Muslim teenage girl.
Huh.
So real, whoa, they're going someplace completely different. I think the latest incarnation of the Hulk is also Asian.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
Like really, you want to talk diverse? Yeah, this is the most diverse I think I've ever seen a Marvel hero lineup with main name characters.
It's like diversity is fine as long as you keep the subject matter the way it's supposed to be for those characters, like Hulk and
and here's the thing: actually commit and keep to it. Don't do it and then a few months later go, oh, this didn't actually happen. Reboot.
Retcon.
Retcon. Reboot.
See, they can do that with things like Captain America turning to Hydra, but when they usually do something like this, it's not just it's a passing of the mantle. It's much harder to unwrite in a sense.
Yeah, although the whole Captain America being a secret Hydra agent thing, that was bullshit in and of itself.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one.
So
that pretty much covers that. Here's something that's probably a bit more close to the belt. This next story.
Why don't I do this one?
Go ahead, because this one has bullshit written all over it.
Ukulele developers dropped JonTron from the voice acting role over anti-immigrant comments. So, if you've been living under a rock for the past few weeks, let me elaborate.
Or you don't pay attention to the social media as much as I do.
Yeah. JonTron has actually gone pretty much alt-right and kind of just started spouting a lot of either racist or bigoted or, how do I put it, remarks, just questionable ideas for the most part that have kind of put him under a bad light. There's this whole podcast with someone named Destiny, if I recall right.
Yes, Destiny, and they go ahead and they basically talk it out because this is initially a Twitter feud that just went into something completely bigger.
Yeah, well, regardless, if you want to check that out, go ahead. Just be warned, you're going to hear a lot of mad ramblings from JonTron, and it's kind of...
It's an hour long, guys. I tried listening to it, and I got maybe about, I think I said 10 15 minutes before I said, I've had enough of this.
I spared myself.
And I don't mean that in terms of I don't care to hear this content. I meant that it physically hurt to actually listen to because the arguments didn't make sense, but I'll let Zero continue before I go ahead and give my impressions about it.
Anyway, because of his anti-immigration comments, just saying all sorts of stuff, anti-science, all sorts of stuff, he basically lost his voice acting role from Ukulele. And because of this, some people were actually flacking Platonic Games, the creator of Ukulele, for doing that. But honestly, it was the smart move. Because
they could lose people that want to get the game that don't agree with how he did things if they'd left him in there.
Pretty much. And basically, this was a business decision to just... It's a business decision. they base they basically said we don't want to be affiliated with this stuff. We just don't. That's not our thing. And I keep hearing people complaining about, oh, I don't like this politics and bullshit in my video games, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
See, this is where I sort of disagree with that. This is really Platonic did this because they didn't want their PR damaged in any way because they had John Tron's political views out there, and if they weren't concerned that they would impact them negatively, they would have kept him on and they wouldn't have said anything. But because they know people will pull their money, they decided to let him go rather than lose the money.
Pretty much.
Now,
it's easier to lose one voice actor than it is to lose a whole bunch of people buying your game.
Correct, right. Now, I did listen to some of the Destiny John Tron argument, and amongst the points that I remember him coherently talking about, one of them was that basically JonTron was upset about the idea that America is losing its identity via cultural appropriation, the mixing of different cultures, which is
complete utter bull crap.
Well, if you've looked at American history, particularly from the 1920s onwards, the quote-unquote ideal American ideology, which is basically from the 1950s, which is where everyone seems to circulate on when they think of American culture.
Yeah, white picket fence, 2.5 kids,
Greece, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's amongst one of the more popular views of American culture quotes. But that was also during a time in which we had a massive migration of people coming all over. And amongst the criticisms is that the fact that JonTron, real name John Jafari, he is of Iranian and Hungarian descent.
Yeah.
So I'm reminded of Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks, in which he's saying this about people who would normally be affected by him, and he's essentially saying this about his neighbors, which I don't know what must do to his personal life when, if any of his friends or family hears him talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
It is rather troubling. Now, you can argue politics and culture and all that jazz, and that's fine. But when you start saying that people need to be thrown out of the country, or you need to be running the country a certain way, that you should be doing it on a podium, not off of Twitter.
Yeah, and even then, some of the views are just too way out there to be accepted by most people.
Oh, that is a bit of a problem, considering that you can find anything on the internet. And as long as you have your own ideology reinforced, then that's enough for most people.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick of the whole people just living in their own little bubble and not caring about what's happening outside of it. Or,
well, it's a lot harder than it sounds. So let's not poke fun at the bear any more than the internet already has.
Fair enough. I would like to point to a YouTuber I watched who kind of explained this a lot better and theorizing about the reasons behind it. Count Jacula. He does horror reviews, but he also does a lot of social commentary stuff, especially during his live streams, which are actually really kind of intellectually stimulating in a way.
Yeah, I do remember. I listened to his rants, particularly when it came because after I couldn't handle the actual full-length discussion.
Yeah, I'd really recommend listening to Jacula's rants on the situation, and because this guy is really experienced. I think he's actually in his 40s, and he's really experienced with the world, and he knows he's seen this stuff happen. He's lived through the 80s when a lot of this Nazi punk shit started to happen as well, and so he's got
it wasn't fun.
Yeah, so he's got a good eye and understands what's going on. And he also does good horror reviews, so I'd recommend checking him out anyway.
Gotcha. All right. Let's move on to something slightly more relevant. And I forgot to edit this, but I think we can go over it anyway. YouTube changing up shit yet again.
Yeah, they added a restrictive mode that hurt basically everyone. It basically was
Okay,
basic.
so let's back it up before we get into how it fucks everyone over. What is it to begin with?
It's basically a safe search mode for like the little kitties and stuff like that.
Which makes sense if you're a parent and you're letting your child, look for things on YouTube. Makes sense.
Which doesn't make sense in my opinion, because why are you letting your kids use the internet unsupervised? that is at least like some sort of. That is where I start to get. That's where one of my pet peeves, quite particular, what is.
Well, and some of the people that are using it though are also like they're using it for like schools.
I mean,
like say they have it in the library and you're dealing with like an elementary school.
Right, but I just think that I want to put aside the governmental argument because I don't know too much about that. But I just want to say it on my soapbox about kids and technology. You should not be letting your kids use your fucking phone to look up YouTube videos. It is one of my absolute pet peeves. I think it's irresponsible of parents to do that. I think it just shows a lack of initiative. I think it shows that you don't care. I'm not a parent myself. I don't know what they're going through, but the way I was raised, it was about actually interacting with your kid, not just popping up putting your phone on the save mode and letting them do it. And I think I disagree with the idea.
When I was a kid, my mom would let me play video games, obviously. However, I wasn't allowed to play them for super long times, and sometimes she would sit there and play them with me.
Right.
So
yeah, my
still interaction going on.
My parents, at least until I was, I think, in middle school, really. Middle school is the last time I can remember them actually moderating how much I played.
Yeah, I think that same thing for me, pretty much too.
But even then, when I was younger, my parents would supervise it, and they made sure that I wasn't doing anything. My dad, very much. My dad, even though I was way younger than I should have been, he did let me play Mortal Kombat on the Nintendo 60 on the Super Nintendo. So
yeah.
Well, and some kids can handle that, no problem.
I think but I think that matter should be done with the parent. And I think
my parents were actually really smart and always did check the ESRB rating for all the video games I played.
Yeah, which I wish I could say that about other people, but if we're getting tangential, I just want to just say that I think restrictive mode as a concept is stupid, but let's continue with why is it a bad idea aside from my personal opinion.
Well, first off, it was also activated for a lot of people without being notified, for starters.
Which is a common tool that most tech companies do and always bites them in the butt whenever this happens.
Yeah, it's like they never learn. And not to mention the fact that even videos that were considered safe or wouldn't be considered dangerous to children were flagged and marked as complete and utter. And basically, you couldn't see them at all.
Well, here's where it particularly hurts, is that when they went back and said here was what was cut, a majority of the content was gaming movies, gaming channels, or any channels that were featured LGBT content.
Yeah, and
by that I'm not talking about it's explicitly gay material. I'm talking about this is a person who's talking about issues affecting the community.
Actually, it's not even just that. I saw someone who did a test. What they did was they just had a picture of them just petting a kitty in the video, just them petting a kitty. It looked cute and everything. And off to the side was just the LGBTQ gay flag, and it was flagged as unsafe.
Which just goes to show you that you can't automize everything.
Yeah, I am flabbergasted by that. Just
It basically means that if the algorithm picks it up, it can go ahead and kick you out. So we could be playing Minecraft on our best behavior,
no
but
swearing at
because we
all.
no swearing at all, but because of something, like if there's a mod that exists for it and it somehow detects that, or if it gets caught in a sweep of waves of bad videos coming out, then it automatically becomes restricted.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing. I actually checked our channel under restricted mode. Only a few of our latest Mario Party videos were considered safe for work. None of our podcasts were good.
To be fair, we have a filthy mouth when it comes to that one, so I will say that's fine.
Our Mario Party videos are the most vulgar shit we ever spout out of our mouths.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's true. Actually, you're right.
So yeah, the algorithm is complete and utter wank.
It also goes by the game too.
Yeah, I was gonna say because we played. What are the games we played? We played Dark Souls.
Dark Souls, Shovel Knight, Bayonetta.
I think of the ones that should have been pulled down, I think Dark Souls 2 is rated M, Bayonetta is rated M, Bloodborne's rated M.
But here's the thing, it was only the last few episodes of our Mario Party videos. Everything, all the other Mario Party videos were flagged. As well.
That just goes to show you how much it's crazy. Because apparently even games like Super Mario and Breath of the Wild were also automatically removed.
Yeah, and YouTube's also getting shot in the foot again because of advertising shit now.
Oh yeah, didn't they? Weren't they also? Explain what was that one?
Basically, advertisers are finding out that their ads were actually showing up on videos for content that was not good, like ISIS videos and just gory videos, or like smut, or like.
To be fair, I thought we had gone past the days of where you could get two girls, one cop onto YouTube.
Yeah, they still find a way to get through that. Anyway, not smut exactly, but white supremacist stuff mainly, like ISIS,
Okay.
white supremacists. They were finding out that their ads were getting onto those videos, and they were pissed.
All right.
Which is understandable.
And so, huge swaths of companies just basically signed off from Google entirely.
Meaning less people to go ahead and give ad money to.
Yeah, basically, Google's going to be losing money this quarter and probably the next quarter.
That's kind of hard to believe, but we'll see how it goes.
But
the other thing, which is slightly minor but still kind of annoying, is that YouTube made a rule change that says now you have to get 10,000 lifetime views?
10,000 lifetime views in order to basically...
In order to get monetized.
Bingo. Our channel's safe for that because we have over 100,000. But the problem is that basically prevents any kind of small-time group from even getting views for the most part, because the algorithm...
It's a barrier to entry. It means that you have to prove yourself before we give you money.
True, but
sometimes it's hard to do that.
Yeah, but the problem is that the algorithm for YouTube promotes videos that are monetized. It doesn't promote videos that aren't monetized at all.
And it doesn't promote videos that don't fit within its algorithm. So if you're not doing the popular meme bait title right away thing, then it fights against itself.
Bingo. Basically, it's preventing anyone new from coming in, anyone from making any money. It's basically choking YouTube content creators for the most part.
Right. And it's only encouraging the ones who are already big to stagnate. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have another grudge with MatPat, but I think we'll save that one for a Divide by Zero video.
Yeah, that might be a Divide by Zero where I
think we might have to do a giant rant of why we hate MatPat, and then there's gonna have to be several chapters following.
True.
Because at this point, it is going to be a series.
True. I'm actually also thinking we should do like a junk drawer rants video, like just all these little rants that piss me off. These little things, like, why the fuck is this happening? This pisses me off.
So, 3-hour video?
I wouldn't say 3 hour, but we can make it a series that comes to 3 hours.
Yeah, I really do need to make Divide by Zero happen a bit more. I think once my dad gets back from vacation, I'm going to take his camera and actually use it to do actual live footage ransoming, because that's easier for me to do than do the fucking animations.
Also true. Very true. Very true.
So, what I might do is I might actually buy a green screen and actually use that, or I don't
That
know,
would be easy.
either that or I might just do it in like my bedroom or something. Or, well, I think a green screen would look nicer.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go on to the one that we were coming to earlier. Let's talk about Atlas in Persona 5.
Yeah, Atlas is usually it's a company that actually does have a lot of goodwill towards it. However, what it's done recently is just baffling.
So, in an attempt to go ahead and maintain their share of the video games, what they want to do is they placed a
Moratorium.
moratorium is what I called it, but it's more of like a lip, because the moratorium eventually gets lifted. No, this is more of a hard ban of do not discuss content beyond this point.
Yeah, basically.
They've also said, though, that they will eventually be letting people do more.
Right, but
they're trying to keep it from being ruined.
The idea is that they want people to actually buy the game and not watch other people play it. And they've chosen
that kind of ruins it for some people, because some people wait for some YouTubers and streamers to play a bit of the game before they decide where they want it.
But they want the money first. They want the money first is what it is.
Yeah,
and so what they've decided to do is that they've issued a hard ban saying, look, you guys can go ahead and talk about, this is how, if you're going to talk about a game, here's what you can do. And if you don't do this, or if you go past the cutoff point, in which if you go past this point in the game and start talking about shit, we will go ahead and put content claim IDs on you.
No, it's not content claims. It is full DMCA takedown bans.
Now that's what their notice says.
Yeah.
That's what the notice says. So the date is 7/7 in game, which July 7th.
Yeah, which is right after the third. I'm going to just call it the third heist of the game.
So about what? I would say, how many? 8-10 hours in, Zero?
Probably a lot more than that.
20? Does it say 20 hours in?
Probably 20 hours in.
So
20 to 25, because I've been playing like 10 hours a day for like 3 or 4 days.
Okay, and you just barely got to that point, but it depends.
Yeah.
So they basically said, don't post more than 90 minutes of video. Do not post major story spoilers. Do not grab footage from most of the major boss fights. Don't focus solely on cutscenes or animation, and you can post gameplay or commentary.
Which people on YouTube are already doing that just to spite them.
Yeah, this is certainly. I mean, of the games that are like commonly streamed, this is one of them because of its depth and how much it is.
And here's another thing: if they were really worried about spoilers, what they should have done is they should have released the game worldwide instead of just Japan getting it first, and then we have to wait at least half a year in order for the English side of everything to get it.
It's not spoilers. It's about money.
I know.
Most people already knew a bunch, if they really wanted to, about the game.
Yeah.
Because it's been out so long over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has always been about making sure that they get all the sales that they can here. And by doing this, I'm more concerned that Atlas is hurting their relationship with the consumers, and that means that later on they're not going to have there might be less of a reaction to this. They might have less sales because there are people who are saying that they don't want to partake of this. And personally, I would go if I had more of an opportunity, I probably would be encouraging that because I think that that's not something that
Yeah.
you should do.
I should mention this. There's a YouTuber I watch called KZX, and when Persona 5 was still being announced and stuff, he did a reaction trailer to one of the. He did a reaction video to one of the trailers for it because his are actually pretty funny, and basically that almost destroyed his channel because Atlas of Japan basically almost destroyed his channel with a takedown.
Mm.
And even still, he's starting to do a Let's Play of Persona 5 right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
He says he's going to get up to the date in the game and then just put it on hold, depending on how long the ban is.
Mm-hmm.
But he said
knowing them, it'll be a couple of months, and then they'll refigure how far you can go.
odds are it'll be a month, and then they'll forget.
That would be generous. I don't think they will do that. I think they would if they would put it for a full year, because that full year or to the end of the year.
Yeah, well,
if they decide to go ahead and repeal it that way, because generally that's about where the most of the game makes its money.
Yeah, well,
if they want to, they could potentially hold this down and not let you stream, and then we would have to wait and see what happens there.
True, but I will say that the Let's Player I watched, KZ, he says that this put a really bad damper on his relationship with Atlas.
Yeah, there's quite a few people. I know that Super Best Friends were also going to do a Persona 5. They were going to do a Let's Play, and now they have to pause after 3 episodes because of this issue.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I've seen at least 4 YouTubers that I subscribe to that they're like, okay, we're gonna go up to that point and then just wait. Yeah.
I mean, it's really baffling and startling, and basically, I hope that it goes well for Atlas, but my belief is that the streaming community is going to hold firm. This game will not sell as well. And when the moratorium is lifted, when the streamers start streaming, all they were going to do, aside from talk about the game, is just shit on Atlas. They are going to go ahead and make sure that Atlas knows that they are not happy with this and hope they never have to go through it again. Because I guarantee you that everyone who streams this game is going to go ahead and make sure that's mentioned repeatedly.
Well,
that when Persona 5 comes up in Google, the next thing to follow it is going to be the streaming ban.
Yep.
That would be the best way to make sure that never comes up again.
Yeah.
And if that would be the way that to make sure that, as a message to other developers, that look, we have a business here that relies on you not interfering with our business. You cannot go ahead and mess with our business.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They don't care. They really don't care. They've got the same mentality that Nintendo has.
They're going to care after this causes their game to tank. And that's what I'm interested in seeing. Because, yeah, you're right, they don't care. But this will make them care if this goes well for them. For the streamers, that is, not for the company.
I know. I'm highly pessimistic, but that's just me.
You'd be surprised how things like this can have an effect on the market. But time will tell.
Yeah.
Why don't we, Muzi, why don't you take this next story?
Well, they finally did an update for Andromeda, so people will finally shut up.
About the wonky Ubisoft copyright trending faces?
Yeah, they've fixed the eyes, and they've done some graphical updates.
Sure,
so
they have.
Sure, they have. A lot better with the rendering. They look human.
So they do not go into grotesque monster faces.
You were really kind of grumpy about people talking about this, weren't you, Muzi?
My only issue with it was, instead of actually reviewing the game itself and finding both positive and negative, people would just make a video about this just to get the views. instead of actually reviewing the game itself. And then if you have, like, problems with it, and, you see negatives, you got to look at it both ways, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Do an actual legitimate review and not focus on just one thing in the game. Because this doesn't impact the gameplay. If this is the only thing you focus on, you're not actually reviewing the game.
Alrighty.
But yeah, so they went ahead and they fixed that, and hopefully that will go ahead and not become a running gag.
Well, when you look at the before and after, I mean, they put a lot of work into this. And they've got 2 months worth of patches upcoming for, fixes and tweaks, because they've been listening to the players and their feedback. They want to make sure that they keep up with this, which is why I like BioWare as a company, because EA just kind of lets them do their thing.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So
who here was pranked on April Fools?
Not me.
I say
was.
evict the internet.
I was.
You poor sad
but,
sack.
Well, I told you that story.
Yeah.
I told you that story anyway. But one thing that the internet was not expecting April 1st was Rick and Morty debuting.
Really?
They put their opening to season 3 on April 1st, which really shocked people. Like, this is for real? This is for real.
You fucking with
But
us?
of course, the internet was not happy because it took the season 3 debut of Rick and Morty took place of the Samurai Jack episode.
Really?
So people were more upset about the Samurai Jack episode being
Delayed?
being removed than they were about Rick and Morty. It's kind of funny, actually.
Oh, that...
And the biggest thing from that episode is that everyone wants the Szechuan McDonald's Chicken McNuggets sauce back.
Which I think McDonald's has actually responded to
Considering.
that.
Yeah, they're actually considering bringing back the Szechuan sauce back as part of the outbreak from this recent episode.
Good lord. Power of television, ladies and gentlemen. Power of television.
Power television, yeah. The rest, as far as I understand, the rest of the season will be on time in summer. But this was just to tie people over, saying, "Look, we haven't forgotten. Just bear with us for a little bit."
I've never bothered with Rick and Morty.
Neither
It's
have I.
really good. It is really good. Zero, you would like it.
I've seen.
You would find yourself getting along with Rick quite well.
You mean the drunk scientist?
Yes.
I don't know
not
what
to
that
say that
says
because he's
about
drunk.
what you think of me.
He's also cantankerous and does not think that society should be so innocent.
Well, we might be on the same page after all.
Exactly. I
It
would
was
give it a
just
shot.
never one that reached out and grabbed me and said, "Hey, watch me."
I
was
would
like-
give it a shot.
I've kind of stopped watching most television in general for them, pretty much.
Well, you could probably find it on Netflix anyway if you decide to get one of those eventually.
Yeah, I probably
It's
will.
got some good points.
I probably will get Netflix or Hulu once I actually get my own place and get a job, for Christ's sake.
Netflix is wonderful.
So I've heard. What else? All right, next one. Oh, this one will be interesting. This one also came out April 1st, funnily enough.
Oh, joy.
They made first off, they made a remake for Bayonetta, an 8-bit version of Bayonetta from Sega.
Really?
Yes. As part of their April Fool's Day joke. But more interestingly enough is the fact that there's a timer that features a very faint image of Bayonetta's foot.
Really?
Yes. The timer goes off at noon Eastern time on April 11th, so in at least 3 days from the date of recording, so Tuesday. But many people are thinking that it's going to be Bayonetta on Steam.
maybe
Which would actually be pretty cool.
it would be cool. Although I'm kind of hoping for Bayonetta 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I would understand your hopes for that, but I mean, either way, it's equally exciting. If we get Bayonetta 3, that's a new game. That's fantastic. If we get Bayonetta on Steam, it means everyone's going to mod the hell out of that game.
They're going to remove the parts where she does hide her modesty.
Yes. Absolutely correct, sir.
Or they're just going to have it modded so she's naked all the goddamn time.
That too. Or they can put other characters in there. Who knows? But either way, the modding will be in.
Or new costumes for her too.
Hopefully. I wonder what kind of costume. Because remember, when they did the Bayonetta 2 thing, they gave her Princess Peach, Link, and Star Fox costumes.
As well as Metroid.
Oh, and a Metroid costume, right. So, what would they give her for Steam?
Gordon Freeman?
I don't know.
Rule 63 Gordon Freeman.
No, I do not need to see that. Let's move on.
Sure you do.
All right, let's talk about Neo again.
Oh, this is sacrilege.
Yeah. So so Neo has been getting a lot of slack from Dark Souls because it plays and looks like a Dark Souls game. Except they decided to go ahead and do something completely different from the Dark Souls series.
They added a pause button.
Yes. So, here's the deal. Is that in Dark Souls, you can't pause because you can get randomly invaded from other people.
Yep.
At any time. So, in order to allow that playability to work, you have to be able to not pause the game.
Mm-hmm. So when you're pulling up a menu, you're not paused.
You're not paused, and you're vulnerable to attacks. Granted, Neo doesn't have that issue. The co-op is very disjointed. You can only summon people to help you. You can only summon people to help you, and if you want to do dueling, you have to do it outside of the main game.
Yeah. So
meaning that there is not really a point in needing to not pause it.
Which I kind of understand. I mean, God help me that sometimes I do wish there was a pause function in Dark Souls.
Well, and they're trying to distinguish themselves as well. Because they don't want everybody to go, well, this is just another Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
Right. They acknowledge that there's a ton of similarities, but they also want their own distinguished brand.
Right. So that was a very interesting treat that they finally managed to do. Now let's get into some new things.
All right.
First off is a game from the Life is Strange creator, Don't Nod.
Okay.
And the game Vampire.
Where you get to play as a dude who becomes a vampire in, the 1900s.
1918 London, after the Great War, you are a doctor who goes ahead and gets infected with vampire, and now has to decide whether or not people live or die.
Alrighty.
So the game describes itself as something of a psychological journey, probably akin to Life is Strange, but with more action promised.
Alrighty.
They basically said that it was going to be a single, non-episodic product, 15 to 30 hours to go ahead and see it all. It goes ahead and has some very interesting concepts about morality, and it's not going to operate. Allegedly, it's not going to operate on a all good, all evil path line.
So far, I like the sound of this. I mean, even if I don't play it myself, I'll watch a couple people play it, probably.
I'm really curious into seeing whether or not they will actually live through on the no good or evil path, because that has been promised by a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh god, I'm just thinking about one game that I have played that it kind of did something like that, and it was not a good game at all.
Which one?
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, no. We have to say that is a rant worthy of itself.
Let's save that one.
Yeah, that one. Put a pin mark in that one because oh boy, I could talk about that one for a while.
I'll save that for a Divide by Zero rant featuring Leo.
Yeah. All right. So that one, that game should be coming out. I think. Let me see. I don't remember whether or not it's going to come out this year. I think it is, but I don't see a release date. I do not see a release date. Oh, expected to arrive this year, sometime this year.
Okay.
Right.
They're trying not to promise an exact date, so that way if they have to move it a bit.
Right. We might see it at E3 though. So I'm looking. I hope that it shows
That
up
would
there.
not surprise me if they're waiting for E3 to show more about it, because you figure that's one of the biggest platforms.
Yeah, that's one of
Get
the
more
best.
about your game out. So
Absolutely, that would be the best time to share that. Let's move on back to Atlas again, although this time in a much happier light.
Oh, really?
Yes. Shin Megami Tensei decides to go deep with Deep Strange Journey.
Isn't that the one where basically shit happens in Antarctica?
Yes, this is the shit happens in Antarctica one.
Okay. That was like an old.
So this is a remake of Strange Journey, just given the deep prefix to go ahead and annotize that it's a remake.
Okay.
And that they're putting extra content into
And of
it.
course, they're putting more extra content into it. In Strange Journey, your character is part of a UN task force that has to deal with the Schwarzwald, a black hole that has popped up in Antarctica. And your team goes in there and finds out that there's a whole demon world living in that's going to take over your world if you don't stop it.
Fun fact: Schwarzwald means black forest.
Yes, it does. In this case, we could call it a dark hole.
Yep.
But anyway, what's different this time around is that they're adding there's going to be extra content with a new character named Alex, who will directly oppose the player character in the game. And the girl on the cover of the link features a trailer video advertising the remake, and it features the red cloaked girl as the antagonist.
Alrighty.
So it's going to be interesting considering that there are already characters in Strange Journey that play an antagonistic role, depending on how you decide to play. And it makes me wonder whether or not there's going to be more to the story options this time around.
Okay, so Strange Journey was originally a DS game, but it's getting remade for the 3DS, correct?
Yes, it also is going to have better cutscenes this time around.
Well, I know you forgot to put this on the notes, but another game from the DS era is actually getting a 3DS remake.
Oh, right, I did miss that one. Go ahead and cover that one, Zero.
Radiant Historia, which was a really good Atlas published. It wasn't made by them, but it was published by them for the DS, is being remade on the 3DS. Right now it's only been announced in Japan, but it's likely that it's going to be released for the 3DS later on in America as well.
Nice.
Because it was a really, really good RPG that had some really interesting battle mechanics, and I'm going to say this, it had a time travel mechanic that worked in a weird way.
Unlike what?
Unlike most other time travel mechanics in other games where they're either like tacked on or make no goddamn sense.
Well, and then another remake we're getting is they're also bringing out the new Fire Emblem.
Yeah, well, we've mentioned that one ad nauseum already.
Yeah, so we're getting plenty of good remakes, yeah.
Yeah, very true.
Alright then. So, next on our list is, oh dear God almighty.
Yep. We gotta talk about Death Note again.
Death Note.
Did we already cover Death Note? Did we already cover Willem Dafoe?
We didn't cover that part, we covered that there was a trailer.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's see. Willem Dafoe is
Ryuk.
which everyone I've heard apparently agrees with that. I don't remember Willem Dafoe being in anything, but then again, I don't really follow celebrities that much.
I just remember Willem Dafoe from Boondock Saints. And boy, that was a weird entry for him.
But apparently everyone agrees with that as perfect. But everyone is bad mouthing the idea of Light Turner.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and here's the funny thing. I saw someone do a Fairly Odd Parents spoof of that.
Oh,
Oh,
sweet
God.
Jesus.
Let me see if I can find it on Twitter. Because that was amazing. But keep going while I'm looking this up.
Yeah, just one of the things that they're trying to Americanize it and make it more relatable. I'm rather curious to see whether or not it's going to work at all.
I'm highly skeptical about that.
I'm very skeptical about it. I don't know whether or not it will work.
Yeah. So
We will have to wait and see. But speaking of things getting changed up, Wreck-It Ralph is getting a sequel.
yeah, I heard about that where he gets into the internet, isn't it?
I love the first one, so them taking it in a different direction is actually a pretty cool idea.
No, they're giving it the natural extension, which is they're bringing him to the internet, because the first movie basically all took within the realm of the arcade and, to a limited extent, the idea of different franchises interacting with each other.
Well, and the best part about this is these days we have like access to all these classic games through download, so this makes sense.
Right. It's going to be very interesting to seeing how it works, and of course they had to go ahead and change it up. So the official title for Wreck-It Ralph 2 is Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Funny.
Which I can believe.
So it will be featuring the original cast: Sarah Silverman, John C. Reilly, Jane Lynch, Jack McBrayer will all be coming back for the sequel. It's set to come out March 9th, 2018.
So it's still a ways off.
Just a year, not that much. It'll be good to see. Another trailer that got released was the Pennywise trailer for It.
I'm sorry, all I'm ever going to see is Tim Curry.
Yeah.
And I'm not a horror movie fan, so it's like, I'm just sitting here going, oh God, why? Why did they have to remake that?
And I'm hearing horror movie reviewers and stuff like that. They looked at the trailer and they all hate. They said it was going good for the first little bit. It was going good, and then they did the jump scare at the end, and they were like, "Nope, it's not going to be good."
Well, apparently they all have beef with Stephen King then, who thought it exceeded his expectations.
Stephen King is kind of weird.
Stephen King hated Lynch's version of The Shining, and everyone else likes it.
Well,
so honestly,
he is his own worst critic, and I gotta say, I need to ask Legend about this, because this goes into the debate of when other people try to replicate an author's work. So I'm curious to see what he thinks about this.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that, and we'll save that for when Legend actually gets his butt back into this podcast.
Oh, we don't need to put a pin for the next thing that we have to discuss, though.
Okay, this next thing just needs to die. Just needs to die.
Die in a fire? Die in a hole?
No, here's the thing. We need a tactical nuke.
It's like when I hear Yokai Watch burn with fire. I mean...
No, I'm pretty sure we need to take a tactical nuke to DreamWorks Studios.
Okay. Shrek 5, people.
I stopped after Shrek 2.
We have to reinvent the swamp with Shrek 5.
The elements of 4 was okay. Like, certain elements of 4 was okay. That could have wrapped everything up. The fourth one should have been the third one, because the third one's stupid. The fourth one should have been the third one, and they could have gone, okay, we're wrapping this as a trilogy.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, I think, but they would need to alter some things, but yeah, sure.
I'm willing to bet the only reason why they're doing Shrek 5 is because Mike Myers needs the money because his career is completely in the toilet.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently, they don't even know if the original trio is coming back.
Oh my, this isn't going to be good.
So, you're going to have to rephrase. Actually, also, DreamWorks no longer owns the rights to Shrek. It's actually owned by Universal right now.
Nuke Universal.
Yeah, so the idea
Or at least
is that,
the office that's working on this.
so apparently the idea is that they want to go ahead and reinvent the material for Shrek.
They're rebooting it pretty much.
Yeah, effectively rebooting it.
And if
it's
they
going
don't
to be
get the original voices, it's
done.
It's dead in the water. It's DOA.
We will see how it works, but Shrek 5 is slated to release 2019.
Well, we got a few years before that hell.
Only 2. But,
Oops, sorry.
we can doomsday prep, okay?
yes. Speaking of rebooting, this is probably the most awkward thing I'm gonna have to say. Who here remembers Reboot the animated series?
Oh
Apple
god,
series.
that took me
I
back.
used to watch it on Toonami.
Yep, same here.
Well, Reboot is getting the reboot.
Well, that's
On one hand, I'm excited. On the other, I'm
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and reinforce what you guys were saying earlier. This needs to die. It's time to stop.
The series itself is awesome.
The series itself. This idea is not.
Is it weird that the animation for Reboot actually still kind of holds up a little bit in a weird way?
Only because it's cringe-worthy at the amount of age that it has that makes it endearing for looking back at it.
Well, and the best part is that it was toward the beginning of the 3D type animation style for cartoons.
Which is crazy, because then you think that there are worse 3D animations out there today than that existed.
Food fight.
So they were actually kind of ahead of their time at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me explain. So Reboot I'm going to just call it Reboot Future for the record, because I want to distinguish this from the 90s Reboot.
Okay.
So Reboot 90s it takes place inside a computer and talks about all these programmed AI people having to live through every time someone decides to boot up a fucking computer game and nearly destroy their shit.
Yeah, I keep thinking about that, and I'm like, that makes no goddamn sense now that I know what computers are.
It doesn't, but the idea is intriguing, especially because they have to go into the games, play it, beat the player up, and they have all sorts of things with viruses and shit. But
yeah,
it was about computer programs living their own computer lives.
Yeah, Megabyte and Hexadecimal were pretty cool villains.
Considering the internet. Anyway, Reboot Future talks about four teenagers, playing a popular MMO, being recruited by a security agency to defend the cyberspace they coexist in.
What?
I'm looking at it this way, they're just using the name at this point.
Yeah, so apparently it's going to be a live action with CGI animation while they're inside the mainframe.
Good lord. It's not a proper reboot, so fuck off.
It's a lot closer to Totally Spies than it has anything to do with Reboot.
Oh god, that's another nostalgia blast for me.
And even then, I would prefer them to have to do Totally Spies again than to try and pull this abomination.
I'm just glad that they're not literally remaking Reboot,
honestly,
the actual show.
I think they could do that better than trying to do this.
I don't know. Have you seen some of the remakes for some of this stuff?
No, I haven't, so to be fair, fine. But I think that they could do a lot better. I think this is just a very quick cash-in. I don't think there's going to be much appeal to it.
Alrighty then.
Alright, last thing. This one should be fun for you guys, for you, the Switch users. They now have a Breath of the Wild Spirit Orb.
Eee.
Yeah, I thought you'd make that noise.
You can buy one for $60 off of Etsy, and go ahead and tap into your inner spirit.
And it is actually, like, really cool.
Nice.
You can put an LED stand
I
under
was gonna say, doesn't it have a base for it? Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
I was
All right.
I was looking at this and I just remembered that someone in Japan is actually making the Dark Souls rings.
Yeah, I need to go ahead. Let me know when they make Havel's ring so I can buy it. Like,
Oh,
just all my
oh,
money.
the two that they made in Japan are the cat ring and Havel's ring.
Oh, I need that website now. I need it now. I need it tomorrow. I need it yesterday.
Looking.
He needed it a week ago.
Yes. All right, but that concludes the show. Zero, what's coming up? More Bloodborne, I'm assuming.
More Bloodborne. There's about 3 weeks left of Bloodborne, so about 9 more episodes.
And we will try to put up the podcast as much as possible, but more likely than not, May will be a dead month for us. Legend has finals. I have finals. I'm coming back to town with these guys, hopefully, or I will be coming back to town, and so we'll get a chance to do some more Mario Party and some more probably set up the next Let's Play as well.
Hopefully, we can do Shovel Knight as well.
Yes.
Shit, that's right. We're gonna have to do Shovel Knight.
And there needs to be voices.
Yes,
I demand voices.
I will be there so I can do the voices for my characters. So we will be doing. I guess that's one thing we can confirm. We will be doing Shovel Knight. What is Spectre Knight's campaign called?
Spectre of Torment.
We will be doing Spectre of Torment as an LP. We will discuss what else we will be doing. We will not be doing Dark Souls 3, even though the DLC came out for it. We're probably not going to do that one for at least 2 years.
Because me and Legend said this at the end of our series, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. This Let's Play pretty much almost ruined mine and Legend's relationship. It literally almost destroyed it.
I definitely, having to talk with both of you afterwards, it certainly sounds like, it sounds like there was disagreements when we were actually doing the build.
When we were doing the build, how we were doing the build, doing the Chalice dungeons, if we were going to do it, when we were going to do it, we were going to do it, and then we decided to say, fuck it, let's not do it because it's too much work. And then Legend was legitimately pissed off at me for saying that we weren't going to do the Chalice dungeons.
Well, then he should be the one to play it all to himself.
I said I might do bonus videos for it later on, but I don't give any guarantees. Oh, fuck.
Right. You kind of need a break.
I just realized we still have not done the DLC for the original Dark Souls.
Right, but that was because you did you end up getting it after all, or was it on the disc?
I got it after all. I got it later. It's not on the disc.
Okay. We would have to do a replay of that because we went to New Game Plus already.
Either that, or I'm waiting for FromSoft to do a remake, to do an HD remake of Dark Souls.
If they do an HD remake, we might come back to it, but I think for the most part we're done with the Soul series.
Yeah.
And I think me and Zero were possibly investigating once they put multiplayer into Stardew.
About doing maybe a few co-op episodes of that just for fun.
Yeah, just to kind of.
Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
There's a potential one-off we might do based on something I found, but that one's definitely up in the air. I can promise though that it's something that no one has seen before, so there's that.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how things go, and technically Legend's cousin, Silver Jolteon, did give us a 3DS capture card.
Woohoo!
So we can do 3DS and DS games for Let's Plays possibly, so we should possibly look into that as well.
Yeah.
What would be freaking hilarious for me is if you and Legend, took the Ace Attorney games and put your own voices and stuff to them.
Oh, dear God almighty.
It would be very interesting to see that.
That would be epic. And it's something you enjoy, so you'd probably have fun with it.
Yeah. Keep in mind we're going to be doing Danganronpa next. Once Legend...
God, I can't wait for that.
Right.
I'm looking forward to watching Legend just go, what the fuck? Although, knowing him, he's going...
I'm curious to see how he'll react to it.
Although, knowing him, he might use circumvent my expectations and just go, huh, and not go what
That
the
too.
fuck, and that will actually make me very sad.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear his reactions to some of this. I've kept my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will see how it goes. This is Leo Force.
This is Muzi.
And this is Death Zero of the Legend Hunters, signing out. Later, guys.
Later.
Choo!
Moo.